Hi and welcome to the Cloaked Hedgehog's YouTube channel. This will be the next installation of the vlog, I hate that word, and at the end of this episode I'm gonna read an encounter by a woman who you may already know. She has her own channel and goes by the name Simlish Doglady. The reason she's not telling this story herself is because she fears she won't be believed. But having read it, I have to say it's completely in line with what dogmen do. I find it very believable, actually. So today I'm gonna first read a blog post that I wrote in May of this year that's called The Big Bad Wolf. I need to address a subject that I know a lot of people will have a hard time with. Lately, we've been hearing about these reports of killings of humans by one or more unknown canines. Well, in May it was lately anyway. The official explanation is that packs of stray dogs are killing these people, or in the cases where the killings take place inside the homes of the people, it's that their own pup turned against them. In a few of the cases I've heard of, I can say that I simply don't have enough information to claim that the official story is a cover, though in quite a number of cases, the official story just doesn't hold water. For a long time, the general view of dogmen in cryptozoological circles was that they probably didn't kill. Sure, they'd scare the crap out of you, but once they'd chased you out of an area, they would return to their relatively peaceful existence. Many still hold this belief, and I respect it, but personally I have always been convinced that they are more dangerous than that. Reports of relatively peaceful encounters with dogmen abound, and by peaceful I simply mean that the witnesses lived to tell their story. Few have reported the dogmen actually causing physical harm. Many, however, have reported a feeling that their lives were in danger. Almost every witness perceived the dogmen as emanating malice and anger and sometimes pure evil. It's the eyes. Those who didn't see the eyes appear to be more positive in their description of the encounter, and they seem much less traumatized by it. Not being a witness myself, as far as I can remember at least, I have often wondered what those eyes really look like. They can't just look like animal eyes, as I've never heard of anyone describing an animal as having evil eyes. There must be something different about the eyes of a dogman. I don't generally believe personally that dogmen are mere animals. They may be biological and behave like an animal, but I just find it so hard to believe that these things should have been around as long as all other animals have been around, at least, and never been discovered, so to speak. Same with Bigfoots. I just find it so hard to believe that they are merely biological, regular, normal, undiscovered animals. So I may not really believe they are animals, but I respect that others do. I don't know what they are. I lean in certain directions, but I'm open to everything I hear. I've done this for a long time, and when I hear certain fantastical claims coming up from people who have nothing to do with each other over and over again, even though I can't scientifically explain that weird fantastical claim, I gotta consider it. Up until very recently, well, recently in May of this year at least, there was very little information pertaining to the question of whether dogmen kills people or not. The killings in the Land Between the Lakes area in Kentucky in the 1980s was pretty much the only known case. And since that story, written by a woman called Jan Thompson, reads like it could be fiction, or at the very least heavily embellished, it wasn't much to base an opinion on. By the way, I did a reading of the story of the killings in the land between the lakes, and I'm going to link to that in either the cards or the description. I haven't decided, but you'll find it somewhere. A few weeks ago in May, a man came on not one, not two, but 3 episodes of Dogman Encounters radio to talk about strange cases where people have been found brutally killed, some inside their homes, and where authorities have blamed it on stray dogs. Said stray dogs had not been seen around the areas of the killings by anyone in most cases, nor were they found after. In the instances where people were killed inside their homes, furniture and walls were found ripped to pieces. The official story in these cases is a lot to swallow. Though you may be skeptical of the most conspiratorial of theories, it's pretty obvious that something is being covered up in these cases. Once these episodes of Dogman Encounters radio had aired, it was a bit like opening a floodgate. By the way, I'm going to link to those episodes in the description. Suddenly, people dared to speak of incidents that they had experienced or heard of, incidents that speak of the Dogman as a cruel, vicious killer with no regard whatsoever for human life. Several cases I've heard of lately describe Dogmen as very ruthless creatures that if they are wronged in some way will stop at absolutely nothing to follow people to their homes and to try to get inside and exert horrible, horrible revenge. Most cases seem to involve a person shooting at a Dogman, deliberately or by accident, and later ending up paying the ultimate price. It seems that if there is any way for the creature to get inside a house, be it through a doggy door or an unlocked back door, it will. And once it's inside, there's very little that will stop it. Another thing that points to the authorities being very aware of Dogmen and Bigfoots is the code words. Several times now, from people that seem to have nothing to do with each other, I've heard the terms black dog and black cow mentioned. These terms are apparently used by law enforcement officers and government officials and refers to Dogmen and Bigfoot. Now, do we have enough information to say that Dogmen are ruthless killers that are out to get you? No, not really, actually. We can surmise that it has probably happened, and in quite a few cases as well. But we also know about many hundreds of people who survived their ordeal without a scratch. In most of the cases that we've heard about where Dogmen have gone PCP crazy on someone, we also know that something generally preceded the attack. Something was being done to the Dogman first. Either it was shot at or its habitat was encroached on. Strangely, the cases of more or less confirmed attacks by Dogmen seem to take place mainly in Kentucky and some of the southern states. I have absolutely no idea what this is. Perhaps there are several types of Dogmen and that the southern ones are more aggressive, maybe. Of the unknown canine attacks that were discussed on Dogman Encounters radio, most seem to have been unprovoked though. However, we weren't there and we can't know the full story. We don't even know if Dogman really was the culprit in all those cases or any. What we can say though is that if Dogmen do hunt people, they are probably likely to go after the young, the very old, or the impaired. So it might be a good idea to keep an extra eye on people like that and not leave them alone. Judging from the Dogman's appearance, it seems to have a heck of a lot of muscle mass, which would indicate high levels of testosterone. And testosterone in high levels have a tendency to cause aggression. And muscle mass like that also means it must have the bones to support the muscles. Thick, big, sturdy bones, which would make it very hard to shoot. Add to this several inches long razor-sharp claws and possibly self-sharpening teeth, and you have a formidable beast that you should really not mess with. Don't ever try to kill one of these creatures unless absolutely necessary for your survival. They are beyond hard to kill, and they do seem to take quite the revenge if they're injured. Do your very best to live in peace and harmony with them. Be respectful of them, but try not to fear them. Fear and panic just always seems to lead to rash and unwise decisions being made. We still have way too few actual facts about these creatures to be sure about the best way to deal with them. And now I'm going to read the story of one of the Simlish Doglady's Dogman Encounters, and this is quite the freaky one. So last summer the weather was really hot. I do not like heat at all, and I don't cope with it well. We have no air conditioning or anything, and we were having a heat wave. This one particular weekend, we thought it would be a great idea to grab the tent and just camp out in the garden. I knew about the Dogmen, but I really didn't think they would come in after me or anything. I was wrong. It was just me and my husband. A Friday night, the boys were out sleeping with family members so we could have a break. This happens every weekend. Anyway, we set the tent up on a Friday night about 6:30 p.m., so not late, and we relaxed in the yard, and we had the dogs with us while we chatted and enjoyed our time together. When it got to around 9:10 p.m., we decided to put the dogs in the house since it was getting dark, but there was still light out. We put them in the house where the beds were and closed the door. Now, our tent was set up in our backyard, and there is a door close by. We call it our side door because it's on the side of the house. We had 6-foot fencing around our yard, and there were wheat fields on the other side of the fence, which go on for miles, and a woodland set back a little further out. We got into the tent and settled. We had a flashlight, of course, but we would usually be in bed around 10 o'clock anyway. We went to sleep, no problem. The next thing we knew, it must have been early morning, and we heard rustling outside the tent to the back. Now, it could be anything, of course, but considering we've been dealing with seeing the Dogman for a while, we were clearly paranoid, and we decided we had to get out and check it out as it sounded like something moving at the back of the tent somewhere. Not really near, but in the garden. My husband got out of the tent first, and I heard him take a breath like a shocked reaction. So I got out quickly after him saying, "What?" Well, we stood there at the front of the tent, looking at a Dogman to the back of our yard. He was around 7 foot tall and gray with some black in it. He had dog-like legs and pointed ears, an elongated snout and long arms and long fingers with claws. It had black eyes. We did not see a color in the eyes at all, so we were very shocked and scared, and we should not have been staring like we were. We just stood there staring at this thing glued to the spot. It growled a real low, like grumble. Really strange. You feel it in your gut. We snapped out of it because movement came from the left and the right. We snapped our heads and looked at both sides, and there was one other Dogman on either side. They were roughly the same as the other, but a little smaller in height. They were all muscular and looked strong as heck. we did not stick around. I would love to give you a better description of them, but we were not going to stand there and wait to see if we were eaten just to get a description. You're not meant to run, but we ran to the side door and got in the house, locking the door. We were breathing heavily and in shock, shaking with fear, and we just slumped in the hallway with relief. I began to cry, of course, and my husband comforted me. There was no way I would go near that door at all, and my husband had me go upstairs. We did not sleep that night. We heard them messing in the yard most of the night, and this is when it became a regular thing. They would come in the yard and mess around. You get used to it eventually and learn to be more careful, but you also become very paranoid and suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. I can tell you that they were all grey-like in color and had your typical pointed ears and elongated snout. Very sharp teeth. They were very muscular. You see the muscles so well. They're so toned and well defined. I know the one behind the tent was male, and he had dog legs. But the two on the side, I only looked at their top half. I did not stay around like I said. This can be very dangerous, I know this. Yet, because I want to learn and help others, I continue, and I'm learning new things every day. The photos that you saw during this story were taken in that area by Simlish Doglady herself, and this last one has caused her some grief because people say, it's a cow. I just really have to address this. If you think that that's a cow, you must have lived in the city all your life. I mean, whatever it is, I'm not necessarily saying it's a dogman, but I think it is. But at the very least, it's obviously a canine. It's a humongous canine. It was in a field. No one in that area owns a dog like that. It's like a huge, huge Black Dane. And according to the Simlish Doglady, it's a female dogman. And this particular one actually had pups. So they're biological in some sense, obviously. So you can believe that this is a dogman, or you can believe it's a big dog. Just don't ever think that it's a cow or a horse or anything else. I mean, had this been taken in America, I would have possibly thought it could be a black bear, maybe, in a strange position. But that's the only thing that it could possibly be other than a canine. But this is England and they don't have bears. So canine it is. It's either a humongous Great Dane, which no one seems to own in that area at all, or it's a female dogman, just like Simlish Doglady says. Simlish Doglady has told me that the females don't look half as scary as the males do. And this could very well be, and I believe it is, the best photo evidence of a dogman so far. A dog woman, actually. You can't even say it's blurry. It's amazing. Even if you think that you can't see what Simlish Doglady sees in her pictures and you think it's pareidolia, don't be so sure. I mean, I know about pareidolia, and I don't see anything in every picture, but I have seen enough of her pictures where I'm sure it's not pareidolia. And I'm very, very interested in the situation going on over at her place. And also, she has the most wonderful voice to listen to, and she often tells encounters. So I really think you should subscribe to her channel and watch her videos because she has a lot of interesting things going on. Really, she does. Well, that was about it for this second vlog. Gosh, I can't say that word without just cringing a little bit. Can we call it something else? Can we call it banana hammock? No, you can't call it banana hammock. Oh, never mind. Anyway, whatever you do, be safe and take care, and I'll see you next time.